Welcome, everyone. Let's get settled in. We're going to start. Please stand and join us in a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Hi, my name is Chris Dahlheim. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is March 6th of 2014, and for that I'm grateful. By no means of my own, in the grace of God. Welcome to the 7 p.m. Thursday night meeting, the Treasure Map group of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. Before we start our evening, please remember to shut off or silence your cell phones. Thank you. We send a special welcome to any visitors from out of town. Please stand and introduce yourselves. Okay. Also, anyone who might be visiting the Treasure Map meeting for the first time, please stand and be recognized. All right. Hey. Why don't you guys let us know your names and where you're from?
I'm Jack. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Jack. Welcome. Hello. Hi, Dwight. Cindy. Welcome, guys. Finally, anyone who is here at their first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, please stand and be recognized. We are happy you are here tonight. You are welcome here. If you would like, please come to the welcoming table. We have a gift for you. Once again, thank you for being here with us tonight. The Treasure Map group of Alcoholics Anonymous believes in working the 12 steps as outlined in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous with a sponsor. There are many home group members here tonight that are willing to be sponsors. If you are new or if you don't have a sponsor, you can stop at the table during the break and see Randy for names and numbers of home group members willing to be sponsors. Tonight's birthday night, the Treasure Map group celebrates the birthdays of its home group members on the last Thursday of each month. We celebrate every month for the first 12 months of sobriety and each year thereafter. We believe birthday night is a night of gratitude. We will present the chip to the home group members celebrating their birthday and give them a brief moment to express their gratitude. After we have presented all the chips, we will take a break and celebrate with birthday cake before the speaker shares tonight. If you would like to become a home group member and celebrate your sobriety birthday, please stop by the registration table at the break or after the meeting. The Treasure Map group of Alcoholics Anonymous is committed to bringing a message of hope to those who suffer from alcoholism. We believe this message is contained within the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and our personal experiences. The AA Preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Our meeting tonight will focus on step 3. We'll do that after the break from the birthday night. Announcements tonight. We want to make a special mention to our online listeners. We have heard from many of you and are trying to make our experience with us even better. During this meeting, if you experience a lapse in hearing us, please post a note on our secret group Facebook page. We'll be monitoring it throughout the meeting. Monthly online fulfillment of Tradition 7 is available today. Any support of the Treasure Map meeting goes to support our meetings and its bills, events, speaker costs, birthday celebrations, and any newcomers meetings. To begin online step 7, tradition 7 fulfillment, see Randy, or go to www.treasuremapmeeting.com. We do also have these over on the table if you want to grab this and put it in the basket if you're giving online. In addition, the Treasure Map Group is a proud financial supporter of the local Sioux Falls Intergroup, South Dakota AA District 5, AA statewide in South Dakota Area 63, and worldwide AA through World Service in New York. Also, if you are online, please grab a tag and place it in the basket that is passed. Please feel free to take our Treasure Map 12 step cards. They're a great way to pass on. There's a spot on the back to give information about the meeting and to give numbers for people that you might sponsor or work with in the future. All Big Book studies up on the website, www.treasuremapmeeting.com. These studies cover all pages from the preface through chapter 7, working with others. Please feel free to use these as an aid to your program, step work, or to assist in sponsoring others. Big Book study questions for chapter The Family Afterwards will be posted this weekend. We have heard good feedback from people doing the Big Book studies within their homes, weekly coffee groups, and informal gatherings of friends. We look forward to more of these studies starting up. Our Big Book study is designed to provoke discussion and thought, not to be the final word on the book. We realize we know only a little. Special events. All are listed on the homepage of our website, but it looks like the 11th Sioux City Tri-State Roundup will be held on March 1st through March 3rd at the Hilton Garden in Sioux City, Iowa. For more details, go to www.SiouxCityTriStateRoundup.com. The Sioux Empire Roundup will be held March 8th through the 10th at the Ramkota Hotel. Volunteers are desired to assist at the event. We encourage our home group members to answer the call of our group and to serve the local AA community and help carry the message. Contact Matt at mcexpert.com for details. Step Working Workshop is scheduled for April 13th, 2019 at the beautiful Broom Tree Retreat Center, Irene, South Dakota, 45 minutes south of Sioux Falls. In the lodge, cost is $50 per person. Full and partial scholarships are available for all who need them. Bring your big book, a pen, and your willingness. We will go over steps 1 through 9. Facility rental, workshop, workbook, lunch, and dinner are included in the price. District 5, Corrections and Treatment Committees, looking for folks to run meetings at the Minnehaha County Jail, Work Release Center, and the South Dakota State Penitentiary. Background check is required, minimum of 3 months of continuous sobriety. Contact Matt M at mcexpert.com. And that's it for announcements. Now please welcome Scott to read how it works.
Hi everybody, my name is Scott and I'm an alcoholic. How it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates, they are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order, I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he were sought.
Thanks, Scott.
Hey, thanks for volunteering, Scott. Appreciate it. And now please welcome Brandon to read the 12 traditions as we pass the baskets. Thank you in advance for your generosity and support. Tradition 7 states every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions.
I'm Brandon, I'm an alcoholic. 12 traditions of AA. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. 2, for a group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3, the only requirement for AA membership is the desire to stop drinking. 4, each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6, an AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise lest problems of money, property, and prestige diverge from our primary purpose. 7, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all of our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities.
Thanks, Brandon. We talk a lot about home group membership at the Treasure Map group because we believe it is vital to our recovery. What does it mean to be a home group member? Here's a brief excerpt from the AA General Services Conference approved pamphlet on the AA group. Traditionally, most AA members through the years have found it important to belong to one group that they call their home group. This is the group where they accept service responsibilities and try to sustain friendships. And although all AA members are usually welcome at all groups and feel at home at any of these meetings, the concept of the home group has still remained the strongest bond between the AA member and the fellowship. With membership comes the right to vote on issues that might affect the group and might also affect AA as a whole, a process that forms the very cornerstone of AA's service structure. As with all group conscious matters, each AA member has one vote, and this, ideally, is voiced through the home group. Over the years, the very essence of AA strength has remained within our home group, which, for many members, becomes our extended family. Once isolated by our drinking, we find in the home group a solid, continuing support system, friends, and very often a sponsor. We also learn firsthand through the group's workings how to place principles before personalities in the interest of carrying the AA message. Talking about our own group, a member says, part of my commitment is to show up at my home group meetings, greet newcomers at the door, and be available to them, not only for them, but for me. My fellow group members are the people who know me, listen to me, and steer me straight when I'm off in left field. They give me their experience, strength, and AA love, enabling me to pass it on to the alcoholic who still suffers. If you're interested in making the Treasure Map meeting your home group, please see Randy at the desk during the break or after the meeting. And it is birthday night, so we will not have a 15-minute speaker. I have 3 birthdays tonight, but if you didn't get your name on the list, go ahead and let me know afterwards. So we'll go with the first one. This is my boy, Nate. Nate's celebrating 4 months tonight. Come on up, Nate.
Celebrating 4 months and I got a 3-month chip. Actually, I'm just gonna trade this out. I'm Nate. I'm an alcoholic. Sorry, that number really threw me off there. The way that I did this, I had awesome sponsorship, my understanding of my higher power, and working the steps. That's all I got.
The list is a little bit backwards, sorry. Next, getting a 3-month chip is Kelsey. Kenzie, I'm sorry.
Kenzie.
10 months. All right, I got all the names written down backwards.
I'm Kenzie. I'm an alcoholic addict.
Kenzie.
Wow, this 10-month chip. That's awesome. I just got my 9-month one with my sponsor too, and so it's been really neat. About a month ago, I gave my son up for adoption, and so it's been hard last couple 10 months, but it's been really rewarding too. And I just want to thank my sponsor and you guys, because I couldn't do it without you. And I love you, and there's not a dang thing you can do about it.
All right, being so there's only one left, if I can find the chip, I probably won't mess this one up. So Brandon has 3 months with us tonight. Come on up, Brandon.
Yeah, my name is Brandon. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Brandon.
By the grace of God, I'm here tonight speaking to you folks. Something I'm very grateful for. I never understood why I felt so different growing up. I never understood why I was so lonely before. And when I was drinking, when I was isolating myself, I never understood why I didn't love myself or why I couldn't love my family back. Done some things I'm not proud of, but that's all right because I've been forgiven, and I understand that now today. I was forgiven a long time ago. And A has given me a way to live that I have never thought possible for myself. And it's truly amazing what this program has done for me. And it's not by my own will, it's by the grace of God. And because of him, I have asked him to help me be willing. I have asked him to help me be honest and help me see the things that I can work on. And the rest I give up to him. And so today, I have 3 months, when before I couldn't even imagine 3 hours. And that's something that I think is truly amazing. And I see this program working in my life every day. I continue to turn my thoughts and actions over to the care of God. And I don't regret it for a second. And so I'm just glad that I can be up here tonight and see everybody. Thank you for everything that you guys have done for me.
Okay, we'll take a break now before Craig comes up to give us a talk on step 3. We'll get back together about 35 after. Cigarette cans out back on the back doors, and bathrooms are through here. Just kind of stay in that area and don't wander. Thanks. Yeah. Kenzie. So this is. So I'm supposed to do them in order, and your name, Nate's name was the first name, so I did his, and then I'm all messed up, so I just went. So, listen, hey, I didn't put them in order. So then I'm like, oh crap, I have to do the 3-month person, and then I didn't even look at the name. I said the wrong name, and you're like, I got them. I'm like, oh crap. Scott's like, yeah. Scotty, do I turn this off?
Boy, get the Holy Spirit in him. None for me, Michael, thank you.
I had like 7 Snickers.
Why you call Kelly until you're sorry?
Good on that.
It's all you, brother. No, thank you, sir.
I'm trying to eat my way through that.
Right. Win half, right? Half the center lands it. Do my 2 goals at
Go for the cross here, go.
Yeah, they're double faced. Right, I know. Right. Now I can just think exactly what that was. I mean, I finally got it. Yeah, that's fine. Then I gotta figure it out because I can actually use Markel in the previous one. Is that yeah, go back.
This will be okay. I'm like,
If everybody's ready, let's go ahead and get seated. We'll get started again. And it is now my pleasure to introduce our speaker tonight, Craig V. from Brookings. And he's going to be doing steps 1, 2, and 3 and how to apply.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Craig Bossa. I'm alcoholic. Through Alcoholics Anonymous, good sponsorship, and a caring, loving God, I haven't had to take a drink since March 3rd of 1986. You know, I got a little app on my phone, and it tells me today I have 32 years and 0.99. So in 3 days, I'll be celebrating 33 years. And for that, I'm extremely grateful. I didn't think I was going to make it 24 hours out of treatment. I was sitting at the bar 24 hours out of treatment. And one thing that stuck in my head was, you know, and it was a step-based treatment center where we did steps, 1 through 4, and also gave a 5th step at this facility. And through that time, I had gotten a little bit of information. One of the stories that they told, of course, was the story of Roland Hazard. And one of the presenters, it could have been one of the people that came in that gave of their time, that would come and speak to us, fellow AA members that would come into the treatment center. And they were talking about the story of Roland and talking about how he was pretty sure he was going to drink again, but he wanted a good memory for his folks. You know, and that's how I felt when I got out of treatment, because when I sobered up, I was living at home, not paying rent, so basically I'm homeless. All my decisions, all my actions were based on drinking. All my employment, everything, if it affected my drinking, I didn't do it. So when I got out of treatment, well, or should I even back up just a little bit more? When I'm sitting in the Brookings County Jail, which is closer to 33 years ago today, because I got let out of jail to go to treatment. I remember going in there and I had an ultimatum. There were people at that treatment center that had reached out to me ahead of time, and I had try to, manipulate the system a little bit to where I would go to treatment before going to court and all that, so it would look good. And when I tried to do that, they denied it. So then I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. That's, I was doing that only to get the heat off. And when I was at my last time I was in court, because it was failure to comply, I had failed the conditions of my last probation, and they were just throwing me back in jail again for for multiple violations. And I was sitting in the county jail, and they'd give me, they gave me an option of work release or going to treatment, basically, because one of the representatives of the treatment center stood up and spoke out for me, kind of like they did for Roland Hazard. I had someone stand up and said, that I had tried to get into treatment, and if that was still on the table or not. And that wasn't, I didn't ask for that. someone was looking out for me. And the judge said, you know, that, yeah, I could swap jail days for treatment days. And my thought was, can I still get out with work release? And they said, yeah, because what would happen is I would go to work release. I wouldn't drink, but, you know, they would smoke a little something on the way back to work. I'd help tolerate the people in jail. But in all the events leading up to that, I couldn't stand being locked up anymore. I don't know if I wanted to quit drinking. I sure wanted to get out of jail. I didn't know that the problem was my broken soul. I didn't get that because drinking was my solution for my broken soul. And now they're asking me to quit that. And I'm going, I can't survive without that. And like I had done before, I'd always get work release. And again, I would self-medicate going back in. They didn't do drug testing back then, so it wasn't really an issue. So, you know, one more time, they give me the option of accept spiritual help or go on accepting, you know, the way I've been living. I kept on going the way I was living. But something had changed. Again, when I left that courtroom, my choice was jail or treatment with work release. I get back down to the jail, and I got a message coming down to me saying, the judge changed his mind. And you're not going to get work release for the first, it was X amount of days, a week or whatever. And little did I know, if I would have taken that scenario, I would have been unemployed, but that's here nor there. All I know is I needed to get out of that jail cell. And I go, so is treatment still on the block? And I was like, but I don't know if I want to quit drinking. So as in my ultimate wisdom, I was taking advice from people in jail with me. One of the guys that I had known from my drinking days, or in there, imagine that, I know the people in jail, said, I've been to treatment. I drank what I got. I'm going, really? I thought they wanted you to quit drinking when you went to treatment. And when he told me that, I'm going, sign me up. You know, that's all it takes. So I get through my, you know, and they said something like successfully complete their treatment program. Like I said, it was a step-based treatment program. And my 28 days are coming to its near end, and they're asking me to present my fourth step so I can arrange my fifth step. I had to tell them the truth. I haven't written anything down, guys. I haven't done anything. And they reminded me, successfully complete, meaning going straight back to jail. And I became willing like I hadn't been willing before. And my 30-day treatment program turned out to be 37-day treatment program by the time I had given my fifth step. But back to my deal. You know, Roland wanted a good memory for his parents. He knew he'd probably drink again, but he wanted a good memory. And I remember coming out of treatment and thinking, I was sitting at the bar in Brookings, and they'd go around, Jack Daniels, Budweiser, Jack Daniels, but I would go around, and each time I'm going, the next time. And I sat at that bar and going, I can't let my mom down one more time. Can't even make it 24 hours out of a confined area before I drink again. And little did I know that was the beginning of, so far, continuous sobriety. So what I'm saying is that you don't have to go, if you're doing the program, who's here within the first 60 days of their sobriety? Fantastic. I'm glad you're here. You don't ever have to go out again. Relapse isn't necessary for recovery. We have the ability to accept perfect help here. God can only offer perfect help. Can't have damage. If I fail, it's because I'm refusing to accept the help that's offered to me right now. You know, and I didn't know that. I got that I was broken, but I didn't know the words or the vocabulary why I was broken. All I know is I didn't feel like I was a part of. I wasn't enough. And one more time, I'm sitting at a bar going, but I want it. I want it with everything that I could have, but there was a defense. Wasn't a strong defense, guys, but there was a defense in me knowing that that wasn't the answer anymore. Didn't mean I didn't want it, but I knew it wasn't the answer for me anymore. You know, and so I become active, go to a lot of meetings in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I don't know about some of you, when I'm in the meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, I feel kind of funky. Kind of like the way they describe in the doctor's opinion when they talked about that I'm restless, irritable, and discontent when I'm sober. Not when I'm drinking. When I'm sober. Tells me I get a sense of ease and comfort when I take a few drinks. I can relate to that. It gives you the big exhale. Not getting drunk, just glass in hand. Knowing that there's release. Problem is, I'm sober now. And I'm full of anxiety. And I feel apart from. You know, when I sobered up, there was nothing but old guys and a couple old gals in Alcoholics Anonymous in Brookings, South Dakota. Yeah, people like Dale. And they tolerated me because, you know, without a doubt, guys, I'm an alcoholic. Am I an addict? I don't think so. But at a treatment center at that time, if you had tried anything back then, you were branded an addict, a chemically dependent, whatever. It was just like a big wide net that was thrown at times. And that's okay because it was safer to tell you not to go do those things again coming out of treatment than say, oh, you can do, you know, you can socially use drugs. No, you can't. So I'm at meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous in Brookings, South Dakota, and again, you know, I can't see across the room from the smoke, you know, and I'm 23, just going to be about 24, and I'm telling everybody, my name is Craig, and I'm chemically dependent. You know, everyone else is saying alcoholic, whatever, but I need to be different. And stop the and. Join us. Be a part of recovery. Be willing to say, I don't need to be different anymore. These people are like-minded. They think the way I think. You know, on the ride down here, I was visiting with a gentleman, and we were talking about, you know, what the book has to say, and all the time that we were in AA, you know, and early on, and talking about Wilson's story, then having the opportunity to, you know, go to a Joe and Charlie book study and the book studies that we've had here in Sioux Falls, and opened up a whole new. I could really relate to Wilson's story after those. Before, it was like reading Greek to me. I didn't have any working knowledge of the program of recovery. And when we talk about things like, you know, Wilson's inner dialogue, that is not a conversation I've never heard in the meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous at that time. Was Wilson's inner dialogue about his story. I'm going, what do you mean by that? And he talks things like, I told myself, I have arrived. You know, all these inner dialogues things that I did all the time. And it's like, I needed that kind of reinforcement. You know, in We Agnostics, there's an interesting part. You know, as I was saying, when I was early in Alcoholics Anonymous, you know, even though that I had done steps 1 through 5 in the treatment facility, what had I done right away coming out of that? Nothing other than attend meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, because that's what they told me to do. You know, go to meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous and keep coming back. Okay. And, you know, I'm not saying that's what they were saying in our meetings in Brookings. That's all I was hearing. That's all I remember hearing back then. So now I come to the point in being sober in Alcoholics Anonymous, and things that really made sense to me and I could really relate to is in We Agnostics, page 52, where it talks about that we're having trouble with our personal relationships. We couldn't control our emotional nature. We were prey to misery and depression. We couldn't make a living. We had the feeling of uselessness. We were full of fear. We were unhappy. We couldn't be of real help to other people. That was something I could relate to. And that's 52 pages into our book. And it's still untreated alcoholism. Calling myself an alcoholic, going to meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous doesn't change the way I live. It makes me really uncomfortable with the way I live. Now I'm getting what they're talking about, that I needed power, because if I could manage this, I would. I couldn't. I had to reach out. When I went to treatment, I was hoping what they told me in church was true. I was hoping that there was grace. I was hoping that there was a power out there that would help change my life, because by myself, I couldn't do that. I was living this day in, day out in meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. Misery and depression. My personal relationships sucked. They were all based on what was shiny today, boring tomorrow. It was only momentary distractions. So I didn't feel me. Well, that's hard. That's hard to live a life that has no connection with anybody. Not in meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, not at work, not at home. How do I get to the point where I get to make connections again? I pick up the book of action. I step into the next chapter after how it works, into action. I get to start recognizing the things that I need to do. I need to recognize my character defects that I had not very accurately written down in my 4-step and explained in my 5th step. Since then, I've done different 4 steps in different formats, and I understand that a little bit better. And here's something for people, I know I asked for the people who are sober a couple days, or a few days, few months coming into this meeting. For the people who have been around a while, I had a different experience, 21 years sober in Alcoholics Anonymous, because there was a man that was willing to ask me, have you done it out of the book? Well, you don't understand. I'm sober 21 years. That's not what I asked. Have you done this? And it doesn't mean that the 4-step that I did before was wrong. It was a 4-step. He asked me to write the directions that came out of the book. Told me to write on resentments. Told me to write on fears. He showed me how to write on fears. He gave me some words that I could identify with. Told me to write. I'm at this point, again, sober 21 years, married 18 years. Sexual inventory. What are you talking about? I'm married for almost 20 years. Well, how is this even relevant? What kind of man do I want to be? This is the part of the book where it tells me to write a sexual ideal. How can I be a partner? How can I be a supportive partner? That means being proactive. That means being engaged. That means doing things differently than I ever done before. One thing that they showed me or would tell me back then, especially when I first came in, I don't know if they still say that in the meetings that you go to. I try not to say this ever in a meeting. Don't date for the first year. That was the common saying back then. What I wish they would have said, don't date till you make your sexual amends. I need to be different. Otherwise, I can only have the same relationship that I failed at hundreds of times over and over again. What kind of man do I want to be? They use words like should in the big books of Alcoholics Anonymous because there is a better and a right way to do things. And when I get to do that, when I get to say, God, help me mold this ideal. Wow. And with your help that I can live this out. Because without that, I hear, if I only could manage well. The book says, if I could rest, that means fight and manage. I would. I can't. My life's unmanageable because of me. I suck at relationships because of me, not because of them. I always thought it was the circumstances. I always thought it was the people. God changed me. Think about the prayer in the 4th step. When I'm angry, they piss me off. No, God changed me. Quiet my anger. I need to change, not them. You know, when I get to practice these principles in my home, when I get to love my wife, when I get to treat her, thank God, differently than I have treated the other women in my life. You know, that really didn't take effect until I was sober a long time. And someone said, why don't we try the work? Because when I wrote down my sexual, like I said, when I was writing down my sexual inventory, and I was writing down as it was and what I should have done and everything, and all of a sudden I was starting to identify, and I started to get broken, the way that I had treated people. And luckily, in recovery, I've been able to make sexual amends. I've got to go to the women that I mistreated and tell them that they didn't deserve how I treated them, how they deserved to have respect and to be loved and cherished, to be, you know, more than a distraction for my current situation at the time. You know, I got to go to, you know, this has been a little while ago, but I remember one gal that I thought I could write off. It's like, well, we were both willing, but, you know, a lot of justification going on. But the only problem is that when I would see her, and she, you know, lives in Brookings, and I would see her and at a store that she worked at, she would see me, she would go one way and I'd go the other. Her head would go down. Tell me that the pain isn't real, that the damage that I did isn't real. And I remember a few years back, and I was walking into that store, and she was walking out, and something, God touched my heart and says, you can do it today. You can do it now. I went to her, and she was out by her car. She was on the phone. I gave her the respect and let her finish her phone call. And I said, I would like to ask permission to tell you how sorry I am for the way that I treated you. I know you had a lot of feelings for me, and I dismissed them. You didn't deserve any of that. You didn't deserve anything like that. And we went on and we discussed back and forth a little bit, and she looked up at me with tears in her eyes. She goes, it's the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. It's to recognize me, to recognize the pain that I felt. And she goes, the phone call I was on was another gentleman that is not returning the affection that she's putting out. And she asked if I would pray for her in her relationship. God changes lives if I'm willing to be a participant and willing to hook into the power that's available to me here. You know, it's only by spiritual principles that people gave me a higher standard than the way that I just been existing. You know, and those are the type of principles that I can take into my home life. I remember it was quite a while ago, and I was watching a show, and I won't say who because Mike will make fun of me. He's just that way. It must be the Irish in him. Anyway, what it was on relationships, and it was about couples who compete, constantly compete. And it really got to the point where, so how do you feel when you lose in any kind of competition? Yeah, I don't like it. I don't feel good. It doesn't, you know, it's nothing good. So he goes, so if you're competing with your spouse, how's that a win for you if she's feeling that way? And it's like, I turned a switch, saying, I'm not going to compete with my wife anymore. The actions that we take with our spouse are actions, deliberate actions. Acts of love are deliberate actions. It's not a result of a feeling. The feeling comes after taking the action, just like everything else in our book. You know, when we, you know, I guess you had the To the Wives last week. Wow, what a group of women. What a group of women that are willing to love a dying thing. Self-centered the way I am, I run. They don't. They try to heal. They try to do anything that they possibly can do. You know, they have a lot of information in there, which is very, very important. I don't know how many times we had the book study and it seemed like someone was always conveniently gone on To the Wives chapter. And he would have me fill in a couple of times during the book study. And people said, I don't like to remember this. Remember it, guys. Ladies, remember it. Because are we a doormat? No. But it's good to hear a different perspective. Got to remember, that chapter is the audience, is not us. The audience is them. And to remind us of we're this relationship that, again, how do I act lovingly? What does that mean? Do I wash the dishes? Yes, I wash the dishes. I wash clothes. I make the bed. I tell her I love her. I am so grateful. I've been given so many gifts in Alcoholics Anonymous, and one is to be in relationship with people, not just my wife, my coworkers, my sponsor, my kids, my grandkids. Doesn't sound like untreated alcoholism anymore, does it, guys? That's what AA gives us. If we're willing to take, or in the doctor's opinion says, if I do a few simple requirements, I can easily live a different way of life. So that's why I'm saying, if you're newly sober, you don't ever have to drink again. God has the power to release and change you to a way, if you're willing to participate, if you're willing to live purposeful lives, if you're willing to take deliberate actions. I'm just really grateful that I was asked to speak tonight because, 3 days, I got 33 years. I wasn't going to make it 24 hours out of an institution. Who does that but a power greater than us? Thank you. We're going to have a call up, and we'd like to have you reflect just a couple minutes on how you practice the principles in your home. And I'm going to start with Scott.
Yeah. Thanks, Craig. Hey everybody, my name is Scott and I'm an alcoholic. So how we practice these principles in our home. Craig touched on a lot of great things. Through Alcoholics Anonymous, I've been given so many things that I don't deserve, right? And some of these things are my current relationships. So that's with my family. The broken relationships I had prior to coming to Alcoholics Anonymous have been restored. And I've been able to obtain new relationships with friends in Alcoholics Anonymous, but with other people too. So about 2 years sober, I got, so my sponsor told me to not date for a year, right? And I was so crazy. I'm just like, whatever, no problem, right? No big deal. So I got a year, and he's like, I don't think you're ready to date yet. And it was that you didn't do anything yet, right? So I'm like, man, this guy is nuts, right? So 2 years, July 19th, 2006 is my sobriety date. On July 19th, 2008, I'm allowed to start dating, according to my sponsor. And on the 20th, I get connected with the woman that I end up marrying. And so the timing on things are pretty remarkable. And it wasn't because I was so eager to be married. It was a series of things. My sponsor used to tell me, it's like, if you want to date somebody, you need to become dateable, right? You need to show up to work on time. You need to be a good listener. You need to not argue about everything. You don't need to be right on everything. So through that process, I'm able to meet my wife, and we go through life together. And she is, well, as people would tell me, I outkick my coverage, right? She's a class or two or three above me, right? So I've got this woman who's agreed to marry me who, if she only knew, that she shouldn't have. But here we are, and I now have 4 beautiful kids, right? And to use what the point is here is to talk about the examples in our house. So I've got 2 sons and 2 daughters. I've got an 8, a 6, a 3, and a 1, right? So these kids are remarkable, and they are exhausting, and they are all consuming. And my wife and I have to raise them together in a household and try to do what's best for them. It gave me a whole new respect on how my parents tried to raise me, right? Not everything was perfect, but I know that they weren't trying to do things that were bad for me. So we've got these children, and through Alcoholics Anonymous, through talking to a sponsor, through prayer, through other men who are fathers in Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm able to learn things about how to be a good father. So I get the chance to sit down with my daughter and just pray with her every night. And I get to say a quick prayer with her about how much I love her, how much God loves her, and how much her love of other people and the things that she does is impacting the world. I mean, I get to do things like that seem very mundane sometimes, but when I stop to think about it, there is a great deal of impact for me. I mean, I'm hopeful there's impact for her in her life, but there's a great deal of impact for me, because what I've learned in Alcoholics Anonymous is my sole objective on this earth is to serve other people. And my wife and these 4 beautiful children give me an opportunity to serve at every turn. I mean, there's never a moment in my life where I can't be of service to somebody else. So it's a phenomenal blessing that AA has given me. And I'm just grateful to be a part of what this has done. And I don't know do I have to call somebody next? This is a tremendous amount of power. So with that, I'll pass. And I'm going to throw it over to Mark, because I know he's got a family too. So. Yeah.
Mark Alcoholic. Yeah, wow. I'm kind of in the same boat as Scott. Married, 4 kids. Oldest is 8 and the youngest is 2. And yeah, I am afforded a lot of opportunities to practice these principles. And some days that's easier than others, right? Kids are very needy, and they're remarkable and amazing, but the ages that our kids are at, they're just they need a lot of guidance and love and attention and all that stuff. So I don't know, like Craig talked about helping out around the house, and one of the best pieces of advice I got prior to getting married was to not keep score in my marriage. And that's hard to do sometimes too, my wife works, recently went back to work. So, more opportunities for me to serve and to practice principles in the home, helping out with, kids doing homework and folding laundry and, giving babies baths and all that fun stuff. But, like it's been said, it wouldn't be possible without this program, right? Like, we should be drunk on our ass somewhere, talking about how, we're going to leave after this next one, like Craig was talking about. And I don't know, when I get time to myself and I kind of sit back and reflect, I try to do that in the mornings, get up before everybody does and have coffee and read a little bit out of the book and just kind of take a breath and reflect. And, I got it pretty damn good today, which is, absolutely a result of this program. So my days are filled with many opportunities to practice what you guys taught me, and what you've given me. So, like I said, some days are easier than others, but it's all good, very grateful to be a part of this. And I will call it Dwight. Thank you.
What time is it? What time is it? God's sake, it's at least an hour past my bedtime. So,
Who are you?
my name is Dwight Vondra. Yeah, and I'm a grateful alcoholic. Yeah. Thanks for being here for us. Man, a lot of things ran through my head, and see, it's late and I'm it's late and I'm old. I can't even remember what the guy's name was that was up here talking, the guy from Brookings. Craig? Okay. And Craig said some things. One of them hit me right between the eyes. I'm gonna try to remember that, for a minute down the road here. But my daughter, when she was getting married, and of course, they asked Dad to stand up and say some things, right? And I remember I was able to do this. I don't think I'd been able to get up and talk prior to at least having a few 24 hours. But the first thing that came out of my mouth was, honey, I'm going to do this. And you guys, I'm not the author of how to have a successful marriage. Let's get that right up on the table. I remember after her mother and I divorced, I thought, okay, I got to figure out what this business about love is. And so I had been reading lots of books, going to lots of meetings, talking to lots of people. And I got a book called Save People, written by the people that wrote Boundaries. And I'm thinking, I'm going to find me a safe person. So I get into this book, and I get to the end of this book, and it was like looking in a mirror. And you said it. It's like it was directed at me. You have to be a safe person to be able to find a safe person. And that's what that's all about. But Lori and I now, my wife's with me. See, you guys didn't bring your wives. My wife's with me, and you, okay. Anyway, we've been married. I was in the sauna the other day. Somebody says, how long you been married? And I go, you better not do that when your wife's around. I think 12 years. Okay, that's right. Yeah, 12 wonderful years. Yeah. We both come from families with addiction. We both have children who were in addiction or whatever. And that's neither here nor there, but that's a tough road. There's no way that we could have any kind of peace in our lives without some form of understanding what grace is and the ability to fight, to persevere, to have the kind of marriage we have today. It's been up and it's been down, not because we weren't in love with each other, but just because of all the normal challenges of life. And I will say to you that, is it Craig? Yeah. I can't remember if you said, it's like, at some point in time it came to me, I'm going to stop challenging my wife. I think that's what you said. I have this edge, and I have this tendency to have to and it's like an automatic clicker. It's like a forgetter and an automatic clicker, where my wife might say something and I always got to get one up on her. Okay? I think after tonight I'm going to work real hard at not trying to get one up on her. That's just one more step towards making our lives together a beautiful thing. Making a decision to go into recovery was the absolute best thing that ever happened in my life. The best decision I ever made. certain people in this room made a major impact on my life. You know, none other than my wife, but also I'm going to say Mike. Mike has. He has. He's relentless. Mike is. And he's a caring, loving guy. And he exudes everything about this program. And I can tell you all do the same thing. So that's just a little bit of how Lori and I have, so like, okay, we've got 11 grandkids, 6 and 5, is that right? I think we got 12, 11. We've got 11 grandkids. So now we've got another challenge, you know, to just walk the walk and get eyeball to eyeball with these kids and with these grandkids and give them a chance, you know, give them a chance to have a normal life. And I guess we'll just keep trying one day at a time to get that done. So, I mean, that's all I got. I don't know. Is that enough? That's plenty. Yeah. I don't know who to choose. Who out there is married? I gotta get somebody that's married, right? Oh. Yeah. Randy? Come on up, Randy. Yeah. I'll let you off the hook.
My name's Randy. I'm an alcoholic. I'm going to touch a little bit on what Craig said as far as amends and what amends has done for me. I dreaded making this one certain amends to this gal that I knew, that I treated very poorly, very wrongly. And basically, she walked out on me, which deservedly so. She was one person that I had to, through this program, make an amends to, that I didn't want to. I feared it. I feared what she'd say to me. I feared the things that she would turn against me or whatever. But through the help of people in this program, good friends, good sponsors, and praying, I actually was able to contact her and set up a time to meet. Scared shitless when I was going to this meeting, but it's something that I had to do. Get to this meeting, we start talking, and I'm the first one that comes out and basically says, you know, I've treated you poorly. I'm sorry for everything I've done to you, all this other stuff, and go into the big long spiel. And before I could get probably 30 seconds into it, she stops me. She's got tears coming down her eyes. And she's saying, I don't believe what you just said to me. Just like Craig, nobody has taken the time to ever think to say those things to me. And just so you know, it was just as much my fault as yours. I'm sorry, right back at you for the things that we couldn't do. So here's an amends that I hated, that I dreaded. Turned out for the best. We are friends today. We talk today. She's extremely important to me, just as I am to her. But that is something that would never, ever have happened if I hadn't gone through this program and gone through these steps, had found people that I could talk to, found a sponsor that could help me go through this, lead me in the right direction to how to live my life and do the things necessary to free me up. Not only did it free her up, but it freed my mind up. I'm not dreading her when I see her anymore. I like seeing her. But if I wouldn't have done those things, I'd still be living in war hell today. So it's because of people like you, because of these steps, and because there's people willing to be sponsors that can help you through this program, that can give you some guidance, that can show you the way to go, and makes your life that much easier. And because of that, that's how I try to go forward and treat other people with those principles, with those things. That's all I got, but I think we need one other person because we have not had a woman up here. Amy.
Hello, everyone. Amy Alcoholic. Oh, man. There's so many things that come to mind about what this program has given me. And the one thing that comes to the forefront the quickest is the amends that I got to make with my mother. Growing up, my mom and I had a very toxic relationship. It was very much you're an alcoholic, and me saying, I don't want to hear anything that you have to say about it. My mom was lucky enough to marry 2 alcoholics and have a daughter, so I think she had a pretty good thought process on it, but I couldn't trust her. I couldn't believe anything that she ever said to me, because it just always made me feel like I was an awful person because of it. This program, and working with the sponsor and working the steps, I got to see my mom in a little bit of a different light. I may have thought that she was terrible, but really it was down to the fact that she just loved me. I was the youngest daughter, and she just wanted good things for me. So when I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with her and make my amends, which I was terrified to do because of all the awful things that I did to her, my dad passed away, and I became much more active in my drinking a few days after he had passed. And I would get drunk off my mother's money because I didn't know how to manage my finances. I was living in her house rent-free because I had nowhere else to go. And I would come home drunk and tell her that I hated her and she was an awful person because she only wanted good things for me. So when I had the chance to sit down and make the amends with her, she just looked at me and said, Amy, I love you, and it's unconditional love, and everything is forgotten. That's what this program gave me. It's a wonderful relationship with a woman that I don't know what I'll do when she leaves. But she's the best person that I could ever have had in my life. We'll leave it at that.
All right, thanks everybody for sharing. Let's go ahead and close with the Lord's Prayer. Scotty got the double call. Let's say this for those who still suffer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. I'm gonna make a coordinated handshake dance for it.
It's like, we're gonna put